1 second, Tone.
Hmm.
If we could just verify that we back live, then you could just repeat, pick up where
Yeah,
you
I
at
see it
because
says
Yeah, I see
live
the
now.
live. Yeah.
we live. All right, so let me just intro this live. So welcome back everybody. This is Sesh channel, your brother Wujao. We got a panel. We
When
continue our
all
conversation
they get money to
for
set up
for some.
businesses. Now, so now
Hold up,
we
what
start, yo,
happened?
where you get this shit from?
Somebody
Your source up.
somebody.
But anyway,
That's
Oh, there we go.
That's
Hold on.
Robert.
Okay, so yeah, so this is part two of the live stream we were just having. We had an abrupt shutdown. I have no idea what happened or why it happened, but we're back. So hopefully everybody can tune right back in. We're gonna just keep the conversation going, maybe for another 15 minutes, and then we're gonna close out. But so yeah, so go ahead, Tone.
Yeah, I was saying to address kind of like what Osara was saying. I think just for speaking for like African Americans, I think that it is a culture there if you want to if an African American wants to accept the American culture. So like if and maybe some people might say, oh, you're the coon and the whatever kind of derogatory terms they want to use, but I will I would say for the most part, if you are African American and you just accept the American culture and whatever that may be, um, that could be your culture, And I mean, I'm not here to explain what that is, but I'm just saying that if it is any kind of culture that an African American can have, it could be American culture. And then obviously someone will have to break that down of what that means. But that's what I would say. Uh, I think with a lot of African Americans, and I think what we have here is a small group. It's not as many as African Americans that we think the way a lot of us think. And I'm not saying that all of us think the same thing. I'm just saying that think
Hmm.
kind of like outside the box, I guess. But I think maybe the American culture of, like I said, whatever that may be, would be the culture.
Yeah, and so on that vein, I think we have work to do, and that's what Asar was expressing. And I
Hmm.
and I've dealt with Asar, and his suggestions and things like that, which are very good. Yeah,
Hmm.
Sundiata appreciate it. Akata was the word I was looking for. But let me just quickly address this question on the screen because he said I didn't answer it and we got shut off. So he says, Wajal, you didn't answer my question. Are Ukrainians Americans? The answer is no. Ukrainians are not Americans. Um, you may have some Ukrainian Americans, people who was born and raised in Ukraine, had nationality citizenship there, moved to America, went through all the red tape, and gained their citizenship here in America. They would be an additional hyphenated person, Ukrainian American, if they so self-identify as such. But in terms of the 100,000 or million Ukrainian refugees that Biden just it was just on the news the other day or yesterday, welcoming the refugees from the conflict over there right now. Those people are not Americans, and so we have to understand that basic civics. Just because a person from Mexico, a Mexican citizen, crosses the border in Texas into America, that doesn't make them an American. Or remember, American is based on your membership with the nation as a citizen. And so the short answer is no. They're not Americans, but they can become Americans. They can become Americans. And so what everyone should do as well, which will kind of fill in a little bit of the gaps too, is look up hyphenated Americans because you'll find out when you look that up. There's articles on it. There's books written about it. I think there's a wiki article on it. Hyphenated Americans. Somebody look it up on Wikipedia real quick. When you read through that, you're gonna see that um, your people from European communities that come here, they seek to remove the hyphenation, whereas for us, we have a tendency not to want to do that because we don't like America because of how our ancestors were treated and we're being descendants of all of that, we have this stigma that we don't want to be American. We have a disdain for America because of the treatment and everything else. So we can't conceive just keep it just saying American and losing the word African altogether. But other people do, in that sense. Other people seek to relinquish and want to just dive in and just be American. And but anyway, you all check it out and you'll see that that was the tendency. And that's why other groups don't have the hyphenation, or not known
What
colloquially
other groups you talking about?
as a hyphenate. I mean anybody. Like for example, you don't see people say European American. You don't we don't
Oh, that's true.
we
They'll
don't
say Italian American,
yeah.
right?
But Italian is a country. I'm talking about continent though. On a continental level. Like we say African American where Africa is a continent, and but we don't say, and it's not known colloquially for people to say European American for people who are from European countries.
That's facts.
You see what I'm
That's
saying?
facts.
So it's lopsided in that sense.
All right, y'all. I'm
Um,
about to lay it down. Peace,
The-
everybody.
all right, peace. Appreciate
Peace,
you
peace,
stopping through,
peace.
man. Appreciate everybody stopping through.
The- That's
Um,
because they think they are the original Americans in a sense, since they are the ones who created this 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 title of American.
yeah.
It wasn't
Excuse,
our people.
so the brother Magi said what I just said. Biden is about to let a million Ukrainians in the U.S. just because they Ukrainians are white. They are more Americans that you'll ever be. You won't accept it because you're fleeing your responsibilities. I'm not sure what all that means, but no, Biden is allowing the Ukrainians in the United States because cities are being decimated. I forgot the name of the city, but I saw right before I went live. There's a city start with an M. I forgot the name of it, but there's a Ukrainian city, and I saw the before and after shot of it. Man, I don't care. They leveled an entire city. I'm talking about the city the size of I think it said Minneapolis or whatever. That's
Yeah,
the equivalent of a size. That city is leveled. 3/4 of the entire population of that city is gone.
it doesn't.
And I
They did the
and
same
I
thing to
and I
Haiti, or that Haiti went through devastation. They never allowed Haitians to come over here in great numbers like that.
yeah. Well, yeah. So to the point. Well, I'm just saying that we could pull the article. Those are they consider those refugees or whatever the case is. The Ukrainians
Yeah,
and
yeah, that would happen in such instances. I know that even on the continent, when there is all these tribal wars, ethnic tensions and whatnot, the the closer countries, I guess, or the continent that's closer, like Europe, obviously do take refugees from the continent and things of that nature. So that's just part of having a state and having those agreements that people have with each other, that the states have with each other.
Yeah, but they don't have no agreements like that with African nations or
well,
Haitian.
I just I just want to clarify something. Um, the assistance given to the Ukrainians is reporting that it's 100,000, not 100 million. So I misspoke. I
Yes,
don't know if
that's right. Yes,
Majay. So I misspoke. It's 100,000. I'm looking at the
you're
article
right.
from 4 hours ago. But
Yeah,
regardless, the answer is no. Those people will not be Americans, and that's just a fact. Like nobody can. I mean, you should even try to attempt to refute that. I mean, they're just not Americans,
they
and that's just the bottom line.
won't be
So
Americans. They'll be allowed to come over here.
yeah, yeah, and that's part of the agreement, whatever agreements that they have. But the point, because I guess I'm kind of getting to the point of wrapping up. The point that so here's what I don't like though. I'm all for having fun. I'm all for jokes and everything, and I have definitely got tough skin, you know, and all that good stuff. What I don't like is, it has nothing to do with me, but what I don't like, which is a disservice to the build, like the educational build that we can have and opportunities we can have to build on information, is when people create a pseudo argument, like a fake adversarial position or argument, as if there's a disagreement when there really isn't one. That will get under my skin. Like, if anybody want to get on my nerves, just do that. Like, you can call me all kinds of names and I'm still straight. I'm like, I'm cool because I'm secure, like, in my own person. Like, you can say whatever, but when people do that, that kills the potential. And so this is what I feel happened earlier, because like Rob Bourne, it is live right now. I got a notification on my phone. He's live right now, and the topic of his live is where is it? It is oh, I lost. Yeah, it is. No, I lost it. It went away. But his topic was: do you have to be born in Africa to be an African? And I know that's was inspired by our conversation.
Yo,
And
hold on. I think
uh-huh.
he was initially addressing an abo. There was an abo on the panel that was talking smack. So I think he was initially addressing him at first.
Okay,
I don't
great.
think he
All
was
right.
addressing you. All right,
Okay,
just to
great. All
clear
right.
that
So
up.
yeah, great, and I appreciate that. So,
All right.
but I want to be clear on my stance, because I don't want to be used as a pseudo argument, or people instigate something that's not there. And so here's my stance: that all African Americans are African, and we use that term to identify our collective amalgamation of experiences here in this country, because most African Americans, 99% of us, we don't know exactly from which specific group in West or Central Africa that we come from. Because of that, we can't be detailed. So we just adopt the entire continental name and say we're African. And so some of us, although we're one here, we're one ethnicity here called African American, but a lot of us came from different tribal groups or ethnicities
No
over
doubt about
there.
it.
Like, some of us came from Yoruba, some of us came from Makan, some of us came from all the different groups that we can name up and down the West and Central
Yeah,
Africa.
yeah.
But because we can't pinpoint which, we just stir the whole pot up and just rename it and say African. And so, yes, full
But
heartedly, we are that. But here's the separate distinction, though, that we must discuss as well. We're not African in the sense of any political connection on the continent, regardless of why, because we already know why. But we're not citizens of any country on the continent. We're not going through any. We're not under any government. We're not under any laws, no jurisdiction. Like right now, let's say in Namibia, the country of Namibia, they have laws over there, right? Those laws don't have nothing to do with us. No, don't affect us at all.
facts, facts.
Liberia has its laws, its government, its whatever. None of those laws apply to us at all.
Facts.
None of it. No African governmental law applies to us. So we're not influenced or under none of that stuff. And
It-
we don't have no protection, no political protection, no nothing from anything over there. Our protection comes from the United States of America. You know, that
Yep.
this government and country is responsible for our well-being when we're abroad. When we leave this country, we leave this country under the banner of an American. Our passport will specifically say United States of America in it. It doesn't say
Yeah.
Kenya in it. It doesn't say Ghana, um, Mali, nothing, none of that stuff. It doesn't say any of that. And that's a
You
that's a
you can
that's
say that.
another. Mm-hmm.
You can say that
Go
right
ahead.
here amongst us who understand where you're coming from. But if you say that in a room full of 200 and something people, then people are going to feel some type of way if you don't qualify why that's the position we're in. That's what
Yeah,
happened.
but if I start off with the ethnic conversation first, then the why is already built into that.
Not
because
with 200
because
some people.
no, what
You
what
know
what I'm
that.
saying, what no no no
You
no no
know
listen
that.
listen but listen what I'm
Go
saying.
ahead.
Listen what I'm saying. The reason why we call ourselves African American is the why. Like we are African American because we are
I,
descendants of
I agree with you.
victims who were directly kidnapped. I'm talking about from those who were physically, literally snatched up, to those people who survived the torture and the trip and gained of
Hmm.
age to be able to have children, and they had
Yep.
children, so on and so forth, which is why I'm alive right now. So I am an African American because of all that experience. So that's the why. And because of all
I
that
agree with you
stuff,
100%.
and because of
But
all that
when
stuff,
you
I'm
when you
I'm
deal
not a
it,
citizen
go ahead.
of I'm saying because of that, I'm not a citizen of um of any country on the continent of Africa. So in that sense, I'm not.
Yeah, I think
Right.
it's
But when
just
you
is okay.
when you're dealing
You want to
with
go?
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, please go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Now I was just saying that it's like because when you have these conversations, obviously the first of all we're having these conversations with people who actually who put themselves in a academic and scholarship level. So you're not going to be having disclaimers when it's an already there's a known fact that don't need to be repeated over and over again. Unless you're talking to a child who when will ask you why do you call yourself African American, then you have to explain that. But you can't, like saying that you need to add this little bit when that little bit is already known, then that's only it shows the level of understanding of the other person that needs that disclaimer. And I don't think that's
Facts.
the case. But I'm just saying that
Facts.
again. And the
You're
other thing to
absolutely
keep it
right.
right, and then to keep the
Absolutely right.
other thing.
Go ahead.
Uh, okay, no,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no,
I'm
do I?
sorry.
Thank you. No, no, but I was just saying that you, the thing is you have to also root yourself in reality and also just be sensible and logical because everybody knows, like, even from my accent, I'm not an African American, obviously. So if I come and say I am African, everybody knows from what vantage point I am invoking that African. I mean that I'm African because I am from a country that is on the continent. Either I was born there or I was raised there. So that is understood. So I don't need to have any other disclaimers about it. And nobody will tell me that, oh well, you don't say you're African in that sense because that means that then in my sense I'm not African. And that's the issue here, is that people do not understand that there is not one definition of being African, or what African is. Because even trying to deny that well, you saying you're not a citizen of a country in Africa, therefore you're not African, is false. It's not false, because you can look what is an African as well, and the definition of what an African is as well, other than ancestry and everything, is also somebody who's a native, or anything that is a native. We can say an African tree, an African elephant is coming from the continent. It's a native of that continent. So pretending that that particular context or definition of African does not exist, it's just false, and it's just disingenuous to me. I feel that, because in reality, the same people, you'll be in New York where you go to some streets and you'll find some Africans, some Gambians at 28th Street. You understand what they are. They're not you at that point, and you will know that these are Africans. You will say these are African. Same person will come back on other channels and then be upset when that particular definition of African is invoked, when that person knows that this is a reality that he actually interacts with and understands. And that's where people just need to grow up. And actually, when we can have conversations, and like Ankh said, there can be two facts that exist at the same time. And I appreciate what Wujao did, because the thing is, when you're being honest with yourself, if a definition is given to you that is factual, you do not try to combat and disagree with it. It's facts. You have to accept it. So, like Ujao said, in that instance, I am African. That is
Yeah.
cool. Now, in the other context, when somebody says, well, in my context, when I say I'm not African or you're not African, in that context, which is also a fact, just saying, well, Ujao, you're right in that instance, and then keep the conversation moving. That is where the problem comes in when you're being dishonest just for the sake of disagreeing. And because we are all adults and we all understand these realities, there's a reason why I am African and the reason why you are African, and they're all different and exist at the same time.
May I interject for
Yeah.
for a moment?
Yeah.
Um, what the problem is, Emiquette, is that you have a lot of people of influence that are running around these internet streets. You have a lot of celebrities. You have a lot of athletes that are and people in the entertainment industry, people that are visible, and they're running around talking about they're not African, and they have a lot of influence on our youth. And they're proud to say that they're not African. I just recently saw Smokey Robinson, who I grew up idolizing like everybody else of my generation and older, say that he was proud to say that he wasn't African. He ain't never set foot. He said he purposely made sure that he never set foot in Africa. So when I hear stuff like that, that breaks my heart, and then it begs the question, it's like, so why don't you think you're African? Because you're light skinned with green eyes? So
You know,
Yeah.
you know what would have been
go-
interesting? What would be interesting is to find out from him, does he identify as being black though? And that that
yeah,
that,
he
that
said
would that would have been very interesting.
no, no, he said that. He said, I myself, I'm an American. I want to be identified as a black American. And I'm like, black American, that's not a race. That's not a classification. We're the only people that want to be identified by a color. There's no other people on this planet that want to be identified by a color. We're the only people. It's insane. And it's only
No,
because they don't
no.
want to say that they're African.
White
But
people
you
want
know,
to be identified by white. They say that all the time. White power, white this, white that. Some people that
Those are
stormed
white
the cap.
nationalists, but white people
Well,
know
yeah,
that they're European. They know on a national level they're European. Their heritage goes back to Europe, and they're proud to say, I'm a European.
most
but
of
hold
them
on,
though don't
but
say
watch this.
European. They don't use that term. They use white.
But watch this. Watch this. Watch. I'm gonna do something right now. So Robert,
Yes,
uh, based on conversation, answer your own way for yourself. Are you African?
yes,
Okay, now you said yes. The question was, are you African? You said yes. So now, Emiquette, are you African?
Yes.
Now, what I just did, now watch what happens. Watch as we unpack it. Both answers were yes to the same question. Robert, you said you're African. Emiquette says she's African. I guarantee you that the reason why, Robert, you say you're African is going to be different than the reason Emiquette says she's African, and it's going to be
yes. I agree.
the backup on that.
We did
Yeah,
this
So,
but
already. I agree with you, and I agree with you when you did that. You did that analysis with the white girl and the
yeah,
African gentleman.
yeah,
So I agree with you on that point.
Anthony. No, well,
Yeah,
it's for everybody watching, right? Just
okay.
just because I don't have to go through it in detail. I'm just pointing out the fact that you answering yes and Emiket answering yes, even though you're answering yes to the same question, the meat and potatoes behind the yes is different. You're saying you're African in the sense of ethnic group, being a descendant of someone who was kidnapped, and like me, because
Hmm.
I'm an African in that sense. But Emiket and her yes is totally different. One, she didn't go through that experience. She's born and homegrown and raised in Kenya, and so she's geographic African.
right.
Whereas we're not, and so there's a different, and this is something that people seem to gloss over, that there is a distinction, and that's a very important distinction to understand,
It
because
really is.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so Emiquette has political power in her answer, whereas we don't. Because the reason why I say she does is because she is directly connected. She is a Kenyan citizen. So the government of Kenya is responsible for her. She has redress and everything within Kenya. And so she's a Kenyan national, which is a country on the continent of Africa, and in that sense, she's African. But for us, we're using it on the level of ethnicity, but we're American in terms of nationality, and that's where we get our equivalency of what she has. You see what I'm saying?
Let
So,
me
Mm-hmm.
let,
these
No
are
doubt
things that
about
people
it.
have to understand.
And I'm gonna
let,
say
let me
this,
say
and I'm gonna
something.
jump. I'm gonna jump off because it's getting late on my side, and I know it's extremely late on your side. I'm in California, so I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna jump off. I
But you
said
in
earlier.
California and you complaining about it being late, man. I'm on the East Coast, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's only 133 over here.
When you getting that look from your goddess, it's about time.
Oh yeah,
Oh
hey,
yeah,
hey,
Yeah,
it is.
listen.
yeah.
Hey, happy house, happy spouse, man. That's the
Exactly,
motto. So
exactly.
I'm not.
Yeah, right.
So
So,
Miss Black Line Supreme, I'm apologize if you can hear me. We're gonna return your man to you. Uh, unharmed. Don't beat us up. Don't beat him up. We don't we don't we don't want him. We don't want him
exactly.
to have any time out. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. So I'm just gonna say earlier I said if I was in Woodrow's class, he made that statement. Everybody in that class would have known what he was talking about because they are educated people. They understand where he's coming from and they know they're teachers. When you go onto a platform of over 200 people, and some of these people are down with you, and some of them are not. So as soon as you make a statement that they feel like they can jump on you for, that's exactly what they're going to do. So when he made the statement, "You're not an African," without saying why, then what I was in the chat when he said this. I saw the eruption in the chat. I saw those people saying, "What the hell?" Blah 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 blah. So I saw it with my own eyes. That's what I'm talking about because that's exactly what happened. And we got our brother right now who's my brother and I love him like one in Raw Born, who's on a attack right now when it comes to Kemet. So he used that as an opportunity to go, wait a minute, boom, 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 and here we go, and all these things. Had he just said we're not African politically, which he did say, we're not Africans, which he did say, because of the Atlantic slave trade, then that would have cut all that off. No one would have been able to say nothing, not even people in the chat, because they would have
I tell you
understood.
what. I tell you what.
Okay,
Black Line
he's making
Supreme.
that statement. But
I
go
tell you
ahead,
what.
go ahead. You cut me off.
I tell you what. Can you translate my words in Rabornese so that he can understand what you just said? Do that for me, and I would greatly appreciate it.
Oh,
Translate it in his language.
but
I
listen up.
got you. I got
Before
you.
you leave, the other thing I was just that's just, I'm just gonna be a little bit anal, but with it, but it's not that adding that it's because of this, that, and that. Really, it is true. It is very true. But then also in a different extent, it doesn't have to be true because it's not because of that. Because when Wujao says because you're not a citizen, citizenship does not have to do with the trans and Atlantic. It does have, but it doesn't have to do also with that because people gain citizenship easily. So it will be that it's because you're not a citizen, or because that's something that
Mhm.
you can be at any given time. Now. So
But the problem with that is you can't. Well, through
so no,
DNA, I guess you can trace back your pretty much your direct lineage, I guess, to a certain extent. But most of us haven't done that, and so if we was to say we want to be a citizen in Africa, where would we go? Would we go to Nigeria? Would we go to Kenya? Would we go
it's all
to?
for the pickings because listen, because people come to America and become citizen. I'm not I have dual citizenship. Not I go to I'm a citizen of Denmark, so I'm Danish as well. So that's
Mhm.
why I'm just saying that when Wujao invoked citizenship, your reason for having that disclaimer is not really is valid, but it's also not valid, because that
But
can
see,
actually, that the reason for not being that citizen is very fixable in that sense.
sister, you are well rounded, and most and the people in that chat the other day, a lot of them is not as well rounded as you. When they hear something, it just triggers their anger off the rip. So I'm just saying to avoid that, if he would have just qualified why. But I understand why he didn't also, because Rob Warren made a claim, and Jara wanted to make a counterclaim. And if
Well,
it
no,
would have been,
I did. No, the reason why I didn't is because I didn't pursue my statement. I didn't follow up because he wanted to stay on the ethnic level, and I conceded to that, and I just stayed there, and so it was unfair to pick up my part of the thing as if we already had the conversation, and we never did. You know what I'm
but see,
saying?
the
And so
ethnic level didn't
that's what I
come
mean.
until later on in the conversation with Jara. When it first jumped off, he said, "You're not a Commission," and you said, "You're right. I'm not a Commission. I'm not, but you're not an African either." And then the conversation picked on. But after you said you're not African either, that's what caused the fire. Once the fire is started, it just spreads.
Yeah, and
Nobody else heard the rest of the things that you said. You see?
right, and that's a problem, as Emiquette said, because all he had to do was ask me, well, what do you mean by I'm not an African? Because see, that was important for him, because when he said I'm not commissioned, I totally accepted that. Because I told him, man, I never made that claim. I'm like, you right. So that's it. That's dead. But then I said, well, you're not African. So instead of him be like, well, what you mean? What do you mean I'm not African? He went on to try to prove that he was. And then in him proving that he was, I conceded, because I know the definition he's using is through ethnicity and not geographically or nationality.
Right.
So that's just
Nothing
about.
you
But
said was incorrect. Nothing. And
yeah,
you,
but you let
as
them.
a
But you
man,
let
of
them tell
course,
it.
as a man,
You let
you
them.
don't
You
have
let
to
them tell
qualify
it.
it if you don't want to. You don't have
And
to.
and it, and
You
if you
you
let them
can
tell
you
it,
can rely on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, no, all I'm saying, because I don't want the missus to get mad at you now. I'm trying to let you go,
No,
but
I
I'm trying to let you go, man. You know,
well,
she go be like she gonna be like, that Wu Jiao. I heard you say his name, boy. You know, what I'm
no,
saying. So I'm not trying
yeah,
to I'm not
yeah.
trying to cause
And
any
I'm gonna let
problems.
you. I'm going to go, but I just want you to understand that you have a right to present it any kind of way you want to. That's not going to stop the reaction of those who may have an
Yeah,
agenda
and
or who
and
may
you're right.
want to, come at you in a certain type of way. But thank
Yep,
y'all for having me. I
and you're right.
appreciate
All right, I
y'all.
appreciate it. Yeah, man. Anytime,
This is
man.
my first time on here. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. So thanks a lot,
Yeah.
and I'll definitely stop by again.
All right, hey
But I
man, just
appreciate y'all.
subscribe so you know when we live. You welcome
You know I'm
anytime, bro.
already just subscribed to you, bro. You already know that.
All right.
Come on
Okay.
now.
I'm just messing. All right, but you welcome. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right.
Peace, y'all.
Okay. All right, peace. Um
Peace.
so what I gonna say? Oh, I want to address some of these comments I was showing. So let me back up. Somebody said some good stuff. Man, somebody asked something about Kiswahili. I lost it. But anyway, let me answer that question. It was about Kiswahili. Man, I lost it. So anyway,
Yeah, I saw someone
Ki-
there.
yeah, Kiswahili being a lingua franca um, is one of the is in the running for for it to become more official or lingua franca, because I believe Arabic is the largest language that's spoken on the continent right now, as in terms of spread, even though it may be not the first or mother tongue of a lot of people, because they rate it differently. But Kiswahili is, I think, next in line, and they're definitely not going to do Arabic. But Kiswahili is a bona fide contender for some kind of official lingua franca, and I don't think it's because there's a lot of Arabic in it or whatnot. It's a Bantu language, and it just happens to be spoken because Kiswahili is peculiar because most Africans on the continent of Africa in the various countries, they speak three languages. A lot of Africans speak three languages. They speak their local native tongue. Then it's either Kiswahili, and then it's either French or English or something like that. If you're in a francophone area or whatnot, so it's usually three languages. Kiswahili is a lot of times one of those three, and I know Emiquette can speak to that because Emiquette speaks the Luo, Kiswahili, English, Danish, and what other languages you got up under your belt? I'm jealous.
Oh, just those and a little bit of like Swedish, Norwegian, like that. I understand those. I can't speak them so well, but I can read them.
Okay, but okay. So let me ask you because I don't want to make any assumptions. In Kenya, among your friends and your peers, is it true that a lot of Kenyans speak their tribal language, whether it's Luo, Kikuyu, or what have you, and then outside of that they speak Kiswahili, and then outside of that they speak English or whatever in terms of what I said. Is that true?
Yes, yeah, that is so true. And as a matter of fact, I think somebody's mic is uh, open. Is that Robert?
Yeah, Robert watching movies and everything.
No, I was just saying, as a matter of fact, I think you would say that I actually, from childhood, actually, I'm one of those households that spoke or just three, which is a little bit less than other kids who, coming from, multi-ethnic, tribal, household where they have parents from different households. I spoke Luo and then obviously English and Kiswahili. Some of my friends would have to speak, their language from their father's side, another language from their mother's side, and then obviously Kiswahili and English. So most people would be three or four languages at the same time from childhood.
All right, see, this was the question, so I wanted to try to address this. So Kiswahili, do I think it's a practical? I think it's very practical because from what I know at this point, Kiswahili is widespread on the continent as one of the languages that a lot of people learn. So I do think that's a good contender. I don't know where things are. I haven't been keeping up with the AU or or any of the institutions that are you know speaking on these things. So
Yeah, with Kiswahili, a lot of people tend to misunderstand it, and one of the contention is it all this it has a lot of Arabic and all of that. First and foremost, people don't understand that there's different dialects of Kiswahili, and then the further you go to the coastal area where you have people with Arabic descendants, that's where you probably find that, and then in other areas you'll find more the Kiswahili dialect that is have less Arabic in it. But at the end of the day, what people do need to understand with any language, especially with African languages, you will definitely find, borrowings of you'll find loan words and everything of that nature. So even, in my language, though, we have a lot of words that are either from Kiswahili, a lot of words that are from English, and you'll find that with all African
hey, you
languages.
know
So
you said your language a little too fast. Can you repeat that?
you'll find loan words, English loan words and Kiswahili loan words in Doluo, which is my mother tongue. And you will definitely find the same kind of phenomena in other African languages. So you'll be hard pressed to find a pure African language in this day and age because of the different interactions with obviously colonialism and then also the current globalization and everything of that nature. And then also interaction with different other ethnic groups. So even in Dolo, apart from the Kiswahili words and apart from the English words, you find some other words that are actually from the neighboring tribes that my people have always been around, which will be like the Luya. So you find other Bantu that words in Dolo that have been introduced into Dolo. So there is really no pure language in that sense. So even trying to just push off Kiswahili because it has a low Arabic, you'll definitely have to push off every African language if that's your criteria. But on that note, Kiswahili is actually being introduced in a lot of African countries on South Africa, East Africa, Central Africa. So it's becoming one of those languages that are, is gaining momentum and acceptance as part of the national language in different African countries, and will definitely be, I guess, one of those trade languages that will be used once, or there's more unification going around.
Okay, so I just want to address a couple of comments. So this is from Medew. He says, "Wajal, it's not Africa's fault if you African Americans are dodging your responsibility." Now I'm not sure what that is yet. I wasn't born in Africa either. I was born in Switzerland instead. Yet I applied for Sudanese citizenship. Okay, I understand your point now. So you're basically saying that it's our responsibility as African Americans to apply for citizenship in an African country. And now I don't think that I would call that a responsibility, but that's definitely an option that anybody can take for the countries that will allow that. And some certain countries allow dual citizenship, certain countries don't. And an argument that I've made over the years related to this is that we have a tendency of complaining here in the United States about our condition here in the United States. By we and our, I mean African Americans. So we African Americans have a tendency to complain about how we are treated, and racism here, how African Americans are treated in policies, the legal system, everything. We have a list of complaints. But what I argue over the years is that we're not known to have a en masse exodus out of this place. You know what I'm saying? So we're complaining about the treatment while we're here, but I don't see a bunch of us packing up and going elsewhere en masse. Now, obviously there are people who will do that. Some people, outside of vacation, but I'm talking about some people have relocated, but not in a significant number. And so that's what I always say. So we kind of can't have it both ways. We're complaining, but then we're not seeking citizenship in other countries that already allow it, and things like that. But some do, but this is not a significant number. But so let me just keep going down. I just want to address a couple of things. What was the other one?
But real quick, since you're talking about the citizenship and dual citizenship, I was sharing some on my screen because somebody did say that most African countries don't allow dual citizenship. Now, what you're seeing in this these ones that are in the light blue, these are countries that allow dual citizenship. And then you have these ones that allow dual citizenship in some cases, and then it's pretty much the opposite. There's very few that are not allowed, and this is from 2016, so a lot might have changed. But a lot of African countries actually allow dual citizenship.
Okay, so basically what Emiquette is saying is that whoever said that the most African countries don't allow it, she's basically refuting that and saying that most African countries do, and she's demonstrating support for that her claim, by showing the map. And as you can see, most African countries actually do. So, well done. So there we have it. Oh, Desharab is the one that said it. Desharab said not all African countries allow dual citizenship. So your Desharab's statement is correct too. So I don't want to pretend that it wasn't, because he said not all, and he's correct, not all. But in context, though, the majority do. So let's just keep it in context, and everything's all good. All right, so let's move on to the next. I'm just trying to go down the list, y'all. Miss Tiffany says white Americans don't call themselves Europeans. We call them that. That is very true. And they don't say European Americans either. Dennis Smokey Robinson, yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to get down. Boom is a Kenny. Oh, Robert Rand. Oh, my fault. You didn't
No, I just made a comment. I was just going to say Europeans are the conquering race, so they get naming rights. They get to call themselves whatever the hell they want to call themselves.
yeah.
They're the colonizer. You know what I'm saying?
But okay, on that note, just a real quick side step to that. Um, do you think that we have a right to call ourselves anything we want now?
Yes. We always had the
Okay.
right to identify ourselves.
Yeah, I'm saying in relation to you saying that they're the conquering, they can call themselves whatever they want. Do we at one time we couldn't though. That was the
Right. At
whole,
one time, we couldn't.
yeah, I'm saying so now we can, right?
I agree.
Yeah, so and now we've chosen African American basically, even though some people may disagree, but that's what's set in stone right now. We call ourselves African American.
It seems
Um,
like that's a subject matter that's simmering, you know, that's simmering in a pot on the minds of most, well, for the lack of a better word, African Americans, because you got so many that don't want to be associated with Africa. They don't want that label no more. So,
but like this is something I brought up, right? And this is like a little side thing. And and every 10 years they do the census, right?
hmm
And the way the census work now is that you fill it out on your own. Like you can self-identify by whatever you want on the document. So imagine if every black person, so regardless if you immigrant here or a native, or a African American here, everybody who considered black, right? Imagine if everybody who, although considered black, if we check white on the census. And I've asked this to an audience before, and I asked them, what do you think the outcome of that would be, or the consequence of that would be? And it was very interesting to hear people's responses, but nobody really understood. See, I can tell, but from the responses, people didn't understand why they take census in the first place. Like, what use is census for in today's time? And it would totally screw up the demographics, which is used for budgeting and all these different budgeting statistics and things like that. It would totally run it haywire on there. But anyway, that's a side note. But I was just saying, people don't get it on that. But I'm gonna keep going down the list real quick. I'm trying to what Sean say? Sean said something about Wasp. I think Sean got stung by a bee or something. I don't know. Um, Hey Sean, man, I hope you're alright if you playing around with wasps and get stung by bees and stuff. Be careful. Now I'm just joking. I know Sean's talking about white Anglo-Saxon person or something. The WASP. Let's see. Anything else? Going down. Going down. Am I missing
Protestant
anything?
is white
Oh, Protestant.
Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Okay. Oh, Master Cleek, I appreciate the super chat, man. Y'all don't understand. I keep forgetting we even have super chat. And I appreciate any donations. I told y'all, any donations that you feel freely give or whatever the case is, it goes straight to books. And if if it accumulates and we're able to give books, I always share them and show them with everybody, and recommend other people to get them and whatnot. But that's helpful. All right, let's see. Anything else? I see Swahili. Okay, Medjay says my wife is Sudanese. I speak Arabic fluently. Oh, cool, 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 cool. Um, let's see. Dashrab is saying those so-called Arabic words in Kiswahili are African in origin. Okay, but you know what's interesting? This is same but different. English. I hear people describe English as a bastard language, and that's crazy to me from what I know about languages. That's just that one is not true, and it's just a weird way of describing English. But English is a Germanic language. It's in a Germanic grouping, but you wouldn't know that because English is heavily inundated with French words and or Romance words. It's heavily, um, whatever. But yet, it's classified and categorized as a Germanic language. Think about that. Before somebody call English bastard or say Kiswahili is really Arabic and all the other kind of stuff. Amir, I'm ethnically African American. I racially classify as Negro via Black African and my nationality American. Yeah, see, that's simple. That's simple. Ethnically, we're African American. The social construct of racial categories, we're considered Black, and our nationality is American. That's simple. Very, very simple. If people just understand that, that's simple. I don't think anybody can disagree with that.
Oh yeah, and speaking of what Dasharab said, I think I had also that from, I forget, it was in on a Facebook chat with somebody. They did actually say that, which is interesting, that some of the Arabic words in Kiswahili are actually there are actually Bantu words that were actually borrowed into the Arabic word, to the Arabic language, and then brought back to the Bantu language. So that's actually something interesting to look into.
All right, all right. So I came to the end of the comments, and I got 2 minutes before 2 a.m. So 2 minutes. Anybody got anything closing? But let me say this. I'll get my closing first. I appreciate anybody tuned in, and hopefully people get the points that are made. And I just hope that nobody falls for the rah rah adversarial environment in which these conversations tend to take place in. Because earlier, I think that the misunderstandings happen. That's natural. People misunderstand each other. That's cool. But I think earlier, it was more purposeful. It was more intentional, the misunderstanding, because I couldn't be any more clearer than I was before. But at the same time, it is also due to the nature of the conversation being in the tendency of those conversations being in that, like, a heated environment, and I don't like that. I don't come from that background. Like, people, like, this whole conscious community debating style is not real debating. It's really detrimental. And the way the conversation went earlier is a direct result of the negative aspect of these debates and stuff, where everybody got to have a one up or argue and this and that, where you don't really understand what somebody else is saying. And so let me just tell y'all a quick thing that I learned. I'm gonna pass on to you all. Whenever you find yourself in a disagreement with somebody, or you disagree with a claim or a point, right? The person who makes the claim, they make the claim. If you disagree with their claim or their argument, the first thing you're supposed to do is repeat their argument back to them. Then you proceed to refute it and lay out your own argument. But before you lay out your argument, you're supposed to repeat the other person's argument, whoever started it, whoever, laid out the first one. That is a rule in Argumentation 101. And here's why. Because you want to avoid logical fallacies. And if let's say Robert Rand makes a claim to me, I disagree with it, but before I go into my disagreement and lay out my argument, I have to first repeat his argument back to him in my own words. What that does, it ensures him that I understood what he said and that I got it. Because if I proceed to argue against his argument, but I'm wrong about his argument in the first place, then guess what? I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting both of our time. If it takes me 20 minutes to lay out my argument, but yet I'm laying out an argument that he's not even really arguing, it's a waste of time. So remember this, y'all. The first step that you should do, and you could do it in your own way, but the first step you should do is always repeat the other person's argument back to them to ensure that you get it, so that you can avoid the straw man logical fallacy, all the logical fallacies, and that's what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? And so that's that. I'm sharing that with y'all. That's where I come from. This is how I was trained. That's some of the basics that you're supposed to be trained to do. In argument, in engaging in argument and debating. You repeat, you lay it out, you summarize their argument back to them.
Yo,
Simple.
Woo,
Yes.
just off subject matter for a second. As I watched that debacle with Nature Boy the other day, and I thought to myself, I said, "Damn, what if Wu Jawa would have went that route? Coming,
Man,
you know what I'm
you
saying,
guys.
coming out of Dr. York's camp and all that." I said, what if Wu Jawa would have went that route? What if he went the Nature Boy, young Pharaoh, polite route, and wanted his own cult? Wow.
Man, that's hey, we probably telling our age, but do you remember the comic book called What If?
No doubt. No doubt.
Marvel comic
I'm
What If? It was like
55, so yeah, you know that. I'm
it,
55. So I used to love that.
okay, so that's what you just did right there. What if? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like a whole alternate Wujao. What
The,
if?
the first
You know
one
what I'm
I
saying?
ever I read of the comic book series was with the Phoenix. What if the Phoenix? You remember
Oh,
that one?
okay, yeah. But no, but I'm gonna tell you right now, that's no chance of that.
I
Um,
know that. I know. We all know that by now. Well, come on.
yeah, no. I know. I'm just saying that would be
But
trip.
just
That would be a trip.
in
But
an
but
alternate
li-
universe, Wu
but
Jao's
listen,
cult.
but listen though,
Yeah.
pseudo that type of stuff is very attractive because it makes money. It gives you clout. It feeds your ego. Um, and in most of those situations, it's it's lax. It's like defying laws or rules and regulations. Think about it. Um,
Yo, it
most of those
defies
people.
all logic. It I mean, to watch what was going on the other night, I mean, it just defied all logic. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Whether it was faking it or not to make money, you know what I mean? Whether it was acting or not, like, yo, that was just insane to me.
Yeah, I agree, man. I like that took the cake for me. That's what made me go live. Like I was like, that's that's crazy. I've seen similarities between people and that behavior, but that he took the cake. Like that's what's over the edge, even for anything I'm aware of.
Yeah, it was
Haven't
disturbing.
have
It was very
haven't
disturbing.
yeah. That's when the laughing stops. Like that right there, because we can kind of tease, but that right there was some serious issues. My man was in and out of character. He was playing a role. He had the women around him, the Orisha. They were feeding him, fanning him. They had a whole intro routine. Like he walked down the stairs. Like they had to rehearse that, and that's what's killing me too. Like that whole thing was rehearsed. Like you and a dress rehearsal. Like they had to get dressed for that. They had to coordinate, get dressed. They had to walk down. Like they had to pick which of the females was going to be the one that hold the fan and wave, and which one gonna hold the basket. I mean, that was
But
that was a
but look
whole
at the
performance
character.
put on.
But look at the character of the young men to belittle themselves like that for whatever little bit of money. I guess you're making. I don't know. It was
Hmm.
just oof.
Yeah,
That was, like
yeah,
I said, disturbing. That
yeah, that
that just
was
that turned my stomach. That really turned my stomach because
that
I don't
that
even think
that
Dr.
was.
York in his heyday was that bold. Was that bold? Was that out with it? You know what I mean? Like, uh,
Nah, not to my knowledge. That's what I'm saying. Nature Boy or Three God, he took the cake. He took the cake.
yeah,
He is
he's
beyond.
incoherent and he doesn't even make any sense. Like,
But he makes sense to
you
them.
know,
He makes perfect
man,
sense to them. He
playing with
makes
these
perfect
young
sense to
people's
them.
lives, man. That's the thing that hurts me. These are people's lives, man. You know, these are
Oh,
not
let me.
cartoon characters.
You wonder what their parents must be going through, like looking at your kid go through stuff like that. I don't know.
Hey, let me just quickly, real quick. Shout out to Monica Lamb, Miss Lamb. Hey, so seeing you, I'm glad. I'm good. I'm happy to see you because number one, I saw that you went through, I guess, minor surgery or whatever. So I'm glad. Hope you. We wish you a speedy healing or recovery, whatever. I don't know any details or anything, but I'm glad to see you. Glad that you came online, which means that everything is all good, and whatever surgery you had, for whatever the reason, it's all good. So give it shout out to Miss Lamb, Monica Lamb, definitely on that. See, she don't know that
Yo,
people be watching her, man. So
yo, Woo, have you had any success, or have you made any attempts to get on the what's his name, Wu Tang Clan dude,
oh
Killer
man,
Pre
no,
Show?
nope, nope, nope. Nope. I have not tried. I have not been invited. Oh, actually, I'm gonna take that back. I have been invited on there. The brother Rasul, who's like a co-host on there sometimes. He
Hmm.
he he inboxed me and asked me on two occasions, and I did not. I declined because because the subject matter that they wanted me on for, I'm not dealing with that. And then two, hold up. Are you watching? Are you watching? Are you watching a movie? What you watching? You got some stuff in the background.
No, that's my roommate. He's in his room. He's right next door. So, and I got
Oh
these headphones on. They're very
man, I
sensitive. They
thought
pick up everything around me.
I'm like, what movie you watching, man? When I get off here, I'm gonna
Nah, he's just
chill out, watch some
nah.
Netflix or
He's
something.
just very loud. He's just very loud.
Oh man, but what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah.
You
No,
talking
no. The
Killer
the
Pre
the
Show?
yeah. I was invited twice on two topics that I declined because I'm not. Yeah, I don't
Right,
entertain
but what about
that
if you
this stuff.
go do your own topic? You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be allowed to pick your own topic to speak on his show.
Yeah, I don't. I probably wouldn't mind that. Something that maybe his audience would enjoy or something. I probably wouldn't mind that. Because
I think
I'm not
it would
against
be a
stuff
good
like
look
that.
both
But
ways. You know what I'm saying? That would expand your audience, and you would also get an opportunity to teach to the
yeah, I'll probably
general
cover
public.
something
You
simple.
know what I'm saying?
I'll probably cover something simple like the aliens, the spaceships on in the glyphs or
Oh
something.
yeah, yo, that would be excellent, man. That would be excellent to
Maybe
dispel a
something like
lot of
that.
the pseudoisms, and that should be a topic. You doing a show to dispel all the pseudoisms within the Metal, within the Egyptian, you know.
Yeah, I probably do. I probably seek to doing something like that sometime in April, because like I would have to just pull back up my any of my presentations that I used to do on the pseudo tour, on the no pseudo tour.
Hmm.
Hey, I see you in Gozi, Amir, because I know Amir be on there a few times. So
Exactly.
yeah,
We could set
so
that up.
Amir, probably sometime in April I'll be free to do something like that. Yep, sometime in April, man, coming up. My like mid-April, after April 14th. Listen, y'all, my birthday is April 14th. So I'm building up. Listen, I got a Amazon book wish list. My birthday is April 14th. So hey, if people feeling generous, that's me. That's my birthday. If y'all still celebrate birthdays, cause the older you get, you be like, nah, my birthday just another day, boy. Um, but anyway, I was supposed to have been off here 11 minutes ago. So Robert Rand, I proved you. You proved yourself right. I didn't stay on for uh. Oh, we got birthday. We got April. We got April babies in the house. And Gozi's birthday April
Oh,
16th. Master Khalik is 18.
oh, so it's the two-stepping, 2 days apart of each.
Yep, 14, 16, 18. Exactly. Yep. The Aries, as they say. Aries. Yep. April 14th, spring baby. That means that our parents were getting busy in September. Hold up, September, October, November, December, January, February, April, March, April. Not quite. September-ish. I always pay attention to that because when the fall come in, that's when it's what do you call it? Snuggle season or what do they call it? Um, what season they call it when everybody start getting a little friendly and cozy in the fall when it start getting cold. All of us that are born in the spring, boy, we are a result of fall conceptions. We've been conceived in the fall and we're born in the spring. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, April 14th, y'all. That's my birthday. I'm giving y'all the heads up. If y'all feeling generous, I got an Amazon wish list. So I will definitely gladly take, and appreciate anything towards my book wish list. I got books in there. But
I'm
all
gonna
right,
check
so
that. I'm
I'm
gonna check that out.
Before you sign off, I think maybe I said there was a question he asked me that I didn't answer, so I'm gonna just answer it real quick. Because you were saying you are Kenyan citizen right now. Kenya is about to join the African Federation, so in the future you'll be an East African Federation citizen. Can you touch on that? Well, I mean, there's nothing much to touch on that. That's a proposition that is in the works. I guess they had a deadline that's supposed to be next year or in 2 years. That's not foreseeable at this point, but they might postpone that. But yeah, once if that takes if or when that takes effect, then you become a citizen of that federation. I mean, that's how it is. Your country decides to do something, then obviously you're part and parcel of that agreement. So obviously, yes, I will be a citizen of the East African Federation and with everything that comes with it. So there really isn't much to say with that. But there's obviously benefits. There might be some changes here and there, or getting accustomed to the new changes. But in the meantime, there is not so much different because those countries, the 6 countries that are proposed to be within the East African Federation, which is Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, and South Sudan. Those countries are already trading with each other. Those countries are also like there's interaction with each other. There's also language and all that kind of stuff that's part and parcel. So it's not there would not be anything new other than the newness of it. But those countries are not strangers to each other at this stage. So, once that takes effect, then that becomes it. You accept it as part or as a citizen of the country of a previous country that is now part of a bigger country.
Well, there you have it, you all. So that's pretty much it, man. I just want everybody. The worst thing that can happen, I'm telling you, I have a disdain for logical fallacies, and maybe that's because my background. We had to memorize them, learn them, and defend and all that kind of stuff. So I'm probably like, what do you call it? Traumatized by logical fallacies, but it's terrible when you're not making an argument and somebody else swears that you are making an argument, and then everything out of their mouth is against an argument that you're not making. That's probably one of the most frustrating things to go through in communication. And it can go for relationships. It doesn't have to be scholarly all the time either. It's just anything. And I'm sure that couples, I'm sure that husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, I'm sure that you all experience this where your significant other is arguing with you about something that you never argue. And because they're heated in the heat of the moment, they're not even hearing you trying to clarify or say that you ain't say it. But they just going in. Rah, 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 rah. You know what I mean? That's crazy. Yeah. But and I'm sure everybody goes through that. You can't be married and not go through that. Yep. But all right. Well, with that, I'm gonna leave. What we got something else on the screen? Did I miss something? I don't see anything on the screen. I see Zane. Zane, appreciate the definitely the super chat.
See Sean
Yeah, and
fussing. Who's Sean
must
fussing at?
police as well. Oh, maybe I'm
Oh,
way,
Sean.
but okay. I think
Who's
I'm
Sean
going.
fussing at? Someone making arguments I didn't make. Who's Sean talking to?
Oh, Sean. Sean.
Yeah.
Sean. Hey, Sean, were you talking about Killer Bees and Wasp earlier? Nah, but someone making arguments. Yeah, well, if that's the case, that's definitely a straw man, y'all. That's definitely a straw man. But I do want to share. I'm sharing. What was I sharing? This right here. I had this up on the screen earlier. And I'm gonna put it back on the screen. I'm gonna end with this. I promise y'all, I'm gonna end with this. This is the slide I made the other day, yesterday, the 20th. This is March 20th. So what was that? 5 days ago. About the African Union, because I brought this up because I think there's misconceptions about the African Union, and abbreviated AU. The AU is made up of 55 member states, which represent all the countries on the continent of Africa. And I have 55 member states bolded and countries on the continent of Africa underlined for emphasis, because the African Union is made up of all the countries on the continent of Africa. That's it. And so now the AU member states are divided into 5 geographical regions, which were defined by the OAU in 1976. And so these 5 regions, now mind you, and so I'm gonna point out how people are misinterpreting this. So remember, the AU is composed of 55 member states. These are all the countries on the continent. They have 5 geographical regions. Number 1 is north, 2 is south, 3 is east, west, and central. It's these 5 regions that make up the AU. But in more recent time, they recognize a 6th region, but it's not a member of the AU. It's the African diaspora region. That's what they call it. And the African diasporic region has no member states, which means it's not part of the AU. It's just that the AU recognize it, and they do so as they outline in their policy. They recognize the African diaspora for the purposes of gaining help, aid, and everything related to that from the diaspora to help the AU itself, which are those 55 member states. Okay, so I hope people can understand that, because the misinterpretation of it is, and the reason why I brought this up in the first place is because people saw that the 6th region says African diaspora and said, see, we as African Americans, we're included. We're, African Union, blah, blah, blah. And I had to slow it down, like, no, we're not. And in fact, I don't have it on the screen, but it specifically said that the African diaspora membership or not membership, but their capacity or function is only in an observatory capacity, observers. And so if you understand how it works, the AU is needs help. The continent of Africa needs help. And what has happened is, because of colonialism, a lot of people on the continent of Africa, they seek education elsewhere. And what happens is, it's called a brain drain, where the skilled people of the various different countries, they take their skills and go somewhere else. And so Africa, the different countries, they're trying to recruit that intellectual, the counterpart of the opposite of the brain drain. And so they need help. And so they're recognizing the Africans that are in the diaspora. So y'all get it? And so this is what is this is all about. This is why I had on the screen earlier. So I'm just, I just want to end with that, so people can, who didn't know, now you know, and you won't misinterpret it, interpret the AU, and then don't allow other people to misinterpret the AU either. So I hope everybody understands that. All right. So, and that's all for me, man. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I see people mentioning the Chief X. Definitely not going down that rabbit hole at all. But all right, so it's late. So until we have another topic, y'all. Now listen, look for a topic. I'm gonna deal with a topic called Africa is not a country. I think that's a topic worthwhile. I think it's an important topic, especially in light of these conversations we just had. We have to understand that Africa is not a country, but people treat it as if it is, and they talk about it as if it is. And so I wanna go in on that. I wanna show some examples. I want to hear, from other perspectives. The fact that Africa is not a country, and why do people speak of it as if it were a country and not made up of 54 countries. Okay. Hey, but Robert Rand, appreciate you stopping through as always.
Thank you for having me
All
on
that
your
good
panel,
stuff.
brother. Thank you,
All right.
Emiquette. Thank the rest of the crew. I appreciate you so much.
All right,
And
cool.
Thank you.
good night to everyone.
All right, all right.
Also, maybe a topic just before I go. I was just thinking about it. What about the linguistic legacy of African Americans? And I said that because I think about our slang words, our lingo. Everybody uses it.
Hmm.
You can hear our lingo all over the world. You know what I mean? You can hear it in popular culture. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So I
that'd be a
think
good
that's a topic that.
that'd be a
Okay,
good
I'm sorry.
topic. No, I'm saying that'd be a good topic, and marry it with our what we call semantimes, where we would use the same metaphors from the continent. Even today, like, we don't use the same words, but we use the same conceptual metaphors, you know,
All right.
and stuff like that. I think that would be straight. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The
we'll we'll
linguistic
we'll, we'll get on
legacy
that.
of African Americans. All right. Good
All
night,
right. So I
everyone.
appreciate it. All right. Peace to you. So shout out to everybody in the chat. Yeah. Appreciate y'all hanging out, and see y'all next time. So we are out. Oh, Emiquette, forgot to you had any closing? Because Emiquette, you'd be trying to get off here real quick, so that's why I'm like,
Oh no, I'm good. Just much appreciation to everybody that contributed, gave us that little support. So we're definitely going to start going a little shopping for some extra books to beat the pseudos with, but also just to kind of improve ourselves on. So that's much appreciated, and everybody else that also contributed on the chat and on the panel. And that's it. So I'll just say good night or get an affair.
You said that when you go to chemist school, you became more alert. You made wake up, your spirit wake up, and you became a more human being. That's your character is built in a school. When we study what we call classical studies, we must know Netcher. You see, maybe in the future we need to know some heretic too. We need to know Netcher. So the most achievement in Kemet for me is education. The way they think, they build, and they practice their education is very unique in history. Without education, I believe there will be no Kemet.